Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. Welcome to the Change Podcast. This is Insights into Empowerment, and this is where we bring you guests that are going to help you learn, going to help you have so much more knowledge than maybe you came with. You will leave with a lot. And our guest today is absolutely no different. This lady has 29 years as a clinical and spiritual healer. She is a Reiki master teacher. She has a bachelor's degree in nutrition science. She has a master's degree in Oriental medicine, which I cannot wait to hear about. And she is the creator of something she calls Right Path Wellness. So will you, and I'm going to be real cautious with your name because I've been pronouncing it wrong, Erica Zernzach.
Perfect. You nailed it.
I want to leave that second Z out for some reason. I want to say Zernach, but it's Zernzach.
Zernzach. People do that all of the time. So you are not alone with that. It's an
okay. I did get
than it is.
Good. Now, gosh, there's so much. Tell us about your years leading up to the Right Path Wellness. Where did you start your journey? What started it, and what got you in this seat today?
My journey has been wild and never boring. I can start by saying that. I was very sick as a child, and my pediatrician, Dr. Swanson, he's still living, and bless his heart, he really tried for me. He tried everything and tested me for everything. And so when I was 15, he thought that he figured it out. And so he diagnosed me with fibromyalgia. And so as a last resort, because we went to all the specialists and I was on 30 medications and I was in wheelchairs and missing hundreds of days of school every year of high school. My mom took me as a last resort, and I used to joke around I was going to name my clinic The Last Resort, but as a last resort, took me to an herbalist, and he changed my life in that very first session. One of the things, he gave me 3 things to help me get out of the wheelchair: food enzymes, liquid chlorophyll, but one of the things that he gave me was a flower essence called Impatience, the flower Impatience. And with those remedies, you feel them, or I felt that immediately. And so I looked at my mom as I took it. We got in the car and I said, this is what I'm going to do for my life. And she knows how stubborn I am. And she said, okay, here we go. And so the next week she was driving me 45 minutes one way to get college level training. And so I was doing vibrational medicine, herbalism of all types, essence elixirs, aromatherapy, muscle testing, applied kinesiology. I could list it on and on and on. And another mentor that he introduced me to at that very same moment at 15, her name's Donna Marie. She became my spiritual mentor. And so she is my Reiki master teacher, but she also is clairvoyant and has these beautiful gifts. And so my training on all levels was very advanced at a young age. And then the people that were on my team were really heavy hitters. And so I was just very blessed to be guided. And then I told my guidance counselor at 15, this is what I'm doing. He was not very excited. He said, Erica, you need a backup plan. And so I am a big nerd. I love to study. And so I would just get books and go up to my room and study. It's part of my human design. Part of my human design is a hermit. So and as a mental projector, I really need to, as my mission in this life is to really be guiding people, I need to soak up this information, get these encyclopedias in my brain. So when they're ready to receive, I can deliver. And so I really went on a deep mission, but I was also having kind of imposter syndrome because I was starting to feel sicker. I was so frustrating because I was helping thousands and thousands of people, but I couldn't get better. Wow. And so here I am, I'm going to specialists, I'm seeing it, but then because of my gifts, I could see that these specialists didn't know what they were telling me. I knew if they're telling me, they didn't know what they were talking about. And so as a history of being medical gaslit, I had to sit with that. I'm like, okay, is this my triggers? This is my trauma? I was like, no, they really don't know what they're talking about, Erica. So I went in deeper. And then one of my friends, she really pushed me to be tested for Lyme disease. And my pediatrician had tested for it, but turned out in 2023, I was diagnosed with a lifetime. I've had Lyme disease, multiple types, and co-infections from it for probably my entire life, or at least around 8, but I matured very early, so we didn't know if it was growing pains or not, but I was complaining about body pain my whole life. So,
Wow.
but yes, and so once I figured out what was going on, I also had several types of mold toxicity from the house that I was renting. I went into a deep dive and made a recovery program. I had already helped thousands of people through lots of different things, but specifically with Lyme and these complex cases, that was kind of what was turning into my niche, my specialty. And so here I am. My Lyme panels are clear. I'm working through the mold toxicity still, but it was a huge miracle that I was able to clear all of these infections with the
Oh,
mold
yes.
toxicity, because it makes things stuck. So that is kind of my
Wow.
nutshell. And so I've really created a one-stop shop for everybody. And I want it to be for internationally everybody, but I also do have a nonprofit and a branch called the Limelight Recovery Program for these complex and chronic health challenges.
Wow. Now, your friend that encouraged you to get tested for Lyme disease,
Yes.
because we all know about it now, it's been around, but did she have the intuition and heard Lyme disease, or did she like hear your symptoms? How did she come up with that when no one else did?
So my friend Shay, she is an intuitive healer just like I am. And because my energy is what is like one of my most valuable resources. And so I don't just let anyone do sessions on me. I'm very specific about who I let access to my energy. And she is one of the few people that I allow into my healing team. And she specifically did massage. And so she was touchy, like I think it was like 1 October, maybe it was like 2020, it must have been maybe 2022, because I was diagnosed in 23 of April. But she was massaging me that whole month, and she's like, okay, something's going on. Cause typically I get worse in the fall.
Oh,
hmm And so I was really, I was like, well, maybe I'll just, pay for massages once or twice a week and really invest in that, because I had never done that type of healing. And it was just, then we realized something was really serious. And I just happened to have to get new doctors. My nurse practitioner and my doctor retired. And so I went to a doctor that I knew is into integrative medicine. He also is an acupuncturist. My intuitive hit, and it's no offense, but my intuitive hit was to see his nurse practitioner, because I wanted to be specific about what I wanted to get tested. I wanted my hormones. I wanted all the types of Lyme. I wanted the co-infections. I wanted mold toxicity, and I didn't want pushback.
yeah, right.
I was just like, can we just get this in? And I just had an intuitive hit when I knew about this practitioner. I'm like, I think she just is going to be so supportive and actually be able to hear me. And I had never even met the other doctor. It was just intuitive. I just, was following the breadcrumbs to the greatness. Right. And she was so instrumental. And I think it was a beautiful relationship, because I was able to talk to her about Lyme disease from a different capacity, of the spirituality of the goose syndrome in Chinese medicine is what we call it. The
Yeah.
picture of Lyme disease, or goose syndrome, GU syndrome, which means hidden pathogens and hidden pathways. And the image of it from thousands of years ago is a black colander, black pot with like a bunch of black worms coming out of it.
Yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Lyme disease, they found it in a caveman 5,000 years ago. So this has been around.
Yeah. So one thing you found out about Western medicine is quite often they don't want to hear your opinion of what's going on in your body. Would you agree with that
Well,
to some degree?
it's very interesting. I think because I had Dr. Swanson, my pediatrician, believing me so much
Mm.
from 0 to 18. I mean, I'm friends with his nurse, that they're retired now, but I'm friends with his nurse on Facebook, and, they're still rooting for me. So it's just great, so I think I had that, Dr. Swanson there would be some weeks I would see him almost every day. And child services or child protective services actually came to my house and interviewed him and my mom, and like people, because I was missing so much school, and he came to school and fought for me. And
Wow,
like,
that's
I
wonderful.
know, and he was having me in biofeedback and hypnosis, and so he was really going from all angles that were probably very much out of his comfort zone.
Yeah.
Um, and for him to believe me, he knew I wasn't lying. He knew I wasn't, this wasn't, the specialists were telling my mom this was a psychological issue that, but my mom and my Dr. Swanson, they knew that I wouldn't be making, in that, and I don't mean that any particular way or judgment. But they knew that this was something tangible, something real.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Yes.
Thank
So,
goodness.
and then too, I think, in all honesty, I take some responsibility for this. My other doctors, I think I was going through, my dark soul of my night. I was
Yeah.
going through some really traumatic things. And so in my brain, I was in so much pain because I was dealing with trauma, dealing through because of the Lyme. I was dealing with some addiction. I was dealing. So in my brain, I was like, I need to get through these layers and then I'll be fine. And so I wasn't necessarily, when I was going in for my physical, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in pain. Yeah, I have these weird symptoms. But in my brain, I think it was almost a saving grace that I thought it was fibromyalgia, because I was like, oh, it just hurts. Oh, it just hurts. I didn't realize that things were eating and drilling into me. That's a different, I think that would have been a much more scary experience. I was just like, what, I'm just going to keep on going. I'm just in pain today. I'm going to listen to my body. It just,
and that's the key. I always tell people, because I had someone call me the other day, and she was a client of mine, very upset. And she goes, I think I need to go to the emergency room. And she explained what was going on. I never tell someone not to do anything. I said, but your nervous system is so off right now. Go home, lay down, calm yourself down, listen to your body. Right. And people do not want to do that. It's like their first course of action is get somewhere and have someone else tell you what's wrong with you. When I tell people two things, and one is what you just said: guard your energy at all costs, pull it in, feel around what's going on, but also listen to your body. And to do that, we often have to sit in silence. And silence is a really good thing when like with you, what's going on? Tell me, you'll hear it. And you don't even have to be, you don't have to be intuitive, because your body will tell you anyway.
I think a lot of times in our life experience here, we go into these parts of isolation, but it's actually a gift, because in the isolation, we're not distracted. We're not distracted. And in this human experience, we all sign up to go through these parts of separation to come back to the unity. That's all we're doing here.
And it's happening in real time right now too.
No,
so
this is no coincidence we're doing this today.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it's so interesting, because from the time you were a little girl, you had Lyme disease and you were in a wheelchair, and no one picked up on that until an intuitive did. Mm-hmm. I love that.
Yes. It is just, there's a lot of divine timing in that. Did I want to be in this suffering pain for 40 years? No, no, I did not. But did I need to be able to build these muscles and these gifts and these talents and these skills to walk people through the silent pandemic? Absolutely. I signed that contract. I signed it. Yeah. And it's interesting, I hear these different teachers or see these different things, and it's like, what inspired you as a child? What was and I was in the forest, probably where I got Lyme disease. And I was showing my babysitters the magic in the woods. And, I was just ready to work. I was ready to be here and serve and make a really big impact. And I needed to go through really big things in order to do that. So
yeah, I think we all do. I think those of us that are true healers and truly care about people, we have to take that journey ourselves before we're effective. You can't just say, well, yeah, I resonate with you. And having done it, you remember the pain, you remember the grief, you remember, that you talk about the dark night of the soul.
Right.
We all have to go through that to get to where we're going on the other side to help people. And one of the things I saw in your bio is mind, body, and spirit cohesiveness. And I totally agree with you on that. I call that the Holy Trinity. So I'm, maybe blasphemous. I don't know. But think about that all working in sync and how powerful you are. So can you tell the audience how to align that?
I think you kind of already did.
Okay. Expound on it.
Let's mirror that back to the audience. I really believe, there's so much noise in our world, in our lives. And when we really create that sacred time, I do my morning rituals where I, get out in nature and walk, most of the days, but sometimes I live in Wisconsin. So sometimes that's, but I get my body moving. But honestly, I live my life with bliss. I can't even say it out. It's discipline with blissipline.
I couldn't pronounce your last name, so you can mispronounce that.
And it's Monday morning. I'm getting here. I'm like, okay, I got hydrated. I'm going here. But Reagan Healy talks a lot about that. She's from the Mind Valley crew, and so I think somebody in the Mind Valley coined that term.
Okay.
But what I really love about it, and too, because of my human design, I think I was really getting stuck of like, this successful person, they're getting up at 5 a.m. and they're doing this. And that's just not how my energetic blueprint works. I don't have motors built into it. I'm kind of like a sponge. I'm kind of open. That's why I'm a healer, because I can feel everybody's everything, which is also a muscle I had to build. But I digress. So in the morning when I wake up, I get into my gratitude first thing and connect to spirit, source, universe. That's what I do. I used to spend time doing protections, but then I'm not a really big micromanager. I have a lot of things I'm managing. So I just have my spirit team. They're on swing shifts. They have that figured out when they're taking their PTO.
Yes.
I got the protection going 24/7. So I got that covered. And then, I get into the physical body. I drink a quart of water with lemon in it and get into my physical detox and just be grateful. And I put love and intention into the water that I'm just going to have the most extraordinary day.
That's awesome.
And then
tell people how you can talk to water. What does water do?
So there's scientific studies that there's I can't remember the Japanese doctor
Emoto.
Yes,
Dr. Emoto.
So I think he's done almost every word, but he started with love, and then he said love into water in one glass, and the other glass he said hate, and you could see in the molecules they're very different. Energy is everywhere. Energy, you and I are energy. This internet's energy. This couch is energy, and so the more that we understand it and can leverage it, we can really use that in our toolbox for success. Another thing that I really do to get me into the mind, body, spirit connection is another thing that I had another mentor teach me at 15 was drumming. I got away from it for a little bit, but one of the things was I knew that silence was very important for me, but I needed to do it Erica way. And so when I found out that there are so many different types of meditation, I let go of the guilt and shame that I couldn't sit still for 45 minutes with my brain squirrels. It just was a process that we had to build. And so the drumming really helped me build that muscle. So I can sit in silence for 45 minutes, an hour. But the drumming really helps me get into my body instantly, and it helps me connect to my spirit team. It helps me get into my gifts and talents and to be connected to my highest self, because why not ninja move it? Our highest self has already figured it out, all the things that we're trying to figure out.
I know. You just have to tap into it. And once you figure out how, it's very, very easy. And it just comes, people are like, well, how do you get your messages? It comes through us.
Yes.
The crown, I call downloads.
Yes.
But, and I use the drums as well. I used to lead a meditation class, and I would do sound healing at the end. And the drum was very, very important. And it's used in so many native cultures.
Mm-hmm.
The drum, but it breaks up trauma. It breaks up anything lingering in your body, and then you can expel it.
Yes.
And so I'm glad you brought that up. I think that's a really, really valid thing for people to know. And it doesn't have to be a drum set. My daughter's a drummer, but it's just got to be a I have a little handheld drum, and drumming is the heartbeat of the earth.
Yes. One of my friends, Sean, makes them too. If people want to get a custom colored one with different wood, different animal hides, if that, but then too, like rattles are another beautiful way just to shake, because it's very primal. Animals, after they have had trauma, they shake it off.
Right.
A lot of cultures, human cultures, they deal with trauma within 3 days. We don't. And like you said, that's why things do get so stuck, because we're not processing them and releasing and letting go so we can allow and receive more good.
Absolutely. And it's so simple. It's so simple, but people are so conditioned to believe that it's woo-woo. And I tell people, this is ancient wisdom. This did not happen in the 60s or 70s, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And to me, I'm sure it does for you too. It makes my life so much simpler. We don't have to do everything. Find a few key things that work for you.
Yes.
And that's, and what I also want to talk about is I want to know about your Right Path Wellness. Where did that idea come from, and how did you, Wisconsin, I've never been there. I've seen pictures. It's absolutely beautiful. But sometimes, like where I am in South Carolina, there's a mindset. There's a mindset, the old family doctor, and a lot of people don't understand that what you and I are practicing goes back so far before physicians got trained at the universities in the early 1900s.
I think this is such a layered question, and I'm understanding more and more. It's no coincidence that I'm in Wisconsin. It's no coincidence that my guidance counselor said I needed a backup plan. And it's no coincidence that a lot of my family and a lot of people in the world think I'm doing the devil's work, which is very, it's a very interesting world that we live in. Now, I know my truth, and I know where my intentions are and where I come from. And I know that I am a servant for the good and the highest good. And I know that I've been strategically placed here, because there's a silent pandemic in the world, but like Wisconsin is one of the number one places people get ticks and Lyme disease. So, I also needed to, I think it's safe to assume that I can be just transparent on your podcast here. I'm working through visibility wounds from past parallel lives where I have been killed for my gifts and talents. And so I need to stand authentically, unapologetically in my truth, in my talents, in my skills, and speak freely about this, that I'm not going to get killed for this lifetime. I'm actually here to stand in this and be a warrior, and a permission slip for others to stand in their power, unapologetic.
Absolutely. That using our voices is the most important thing. It's a little fearful right now with what I see going on in our world. And, I tell people as a little girl, I tell people I was 10 years old doing seances in my playhouse. So I've always had that calling, and I too have seen past lives, of demise. But using our voice, I've come out of the spiritual closet, you could say, and it feels good. You don't have to talk to me, you don't have to like me, but for those that we can help, I think we're very much obligated to speak our truth, our wisdom, and help people.
We would be doing a disservice if we didn't.
Exactly.
Honestly. And the thing is, in this world, in this human experience, we have free will. And honestly, this is another muscle that I've had to build. It's none of my opinion. It's none of my business, other people's opinions about me, because I know I'm getting better and better every day. I know that I take responsibility for me of all the layers, and I also know that, like I said earlier, I believe in people doing you do you, but I also know that, I know so clear the knowing of what, this has never flinched. I have never, ever questioned what I've been meant to do. I have gone against everything. I have lost everything, and I still choose this and stand up for this every day, because I know, and now I understand, it's like I had to go through these really dark times in order to transcend like the phoenix and guide people through this. Like I understand that now, but when you're in the thick of it, wow, it's not so fun.
Yeah.
But, I lost friendships and family and all my money and 401k, and because I had to pay money to get out of mold, and not that I was like going on vacations and doing anything extravagant. I was saving my life and learning how to help people get through this. Like I said,
Exactly.
I'm a nerd. I love to study. So I needed this isolation. And yes, it wasn't fun doing this for 44 years hanging out here, but now it's like, okay, now it's go time. And now
Yes.
I am so excited on this new lease of life, and I can just be in this new identity of healed, whole, and complete, and really own that. I love it. I'm
I,
excited.
I am so excited for you as well, because one of the things is I love meeting my people. I
Same,
love meeting my
same.
people. And we can share with one another openly, and that's when we can really use our voices. So I'm so glad you came on today, and you're so candid, and I love that. And I also know we're getting close to our time, so I want you, for our audience, to give them some nuggets to
Sure.
take with what I mean, from a little girl that had Lyme disease to the freedom you have now. What's in between there that you could help them navigate this thing called life?
I think really what it's becoming very clear to me, I'm not only helping people transcend their pain, I'm helping them walk into their purpose.
Ooh.
And I also know that a lot of healers have to go through this quantum crumble, and they've done their easier lives and other lives. So these are the deepest wounds, like they're walking through it. And so for me to help really help the healers so they can go out and make the biggest impact, um, you know, but I think something that I want to just tell people is the more that you can really get clear about who you want to be and the life that you want to create, and just sometimes Delulu is the Solulu for the beginning of it, and just be, not that I'm trying to tell you to be in toxic positivity, but I think the clarity, the intention, and then just being like, okay, I learned what I needed to learn. Now I can walk into this new identity.
Exactly.
A couple other things is keep things, like you said, simple. Make things digestible so you can process and integrate them and move on. One of the things that I love to tell people is scanning your body when you feel really good, so you know when you're in alignment. And when you start to feel wonky, scan again. Ask yourself, am I in memory? We live 95% of our life in memory. Then you can say thank you, goodbye. Let it go off in a balloon. Let Archangel Michael come in with a sword or a shop vac and zip it out. The next thing is this energy even mine? We are absorbing people's energies.
Wow.
Learn to build that muscle. So then you can say thank you, goodbye. Then on the pie chart, we've released a whole bunch of stuff. Then the third thing is this energy mine that I need to deal with right now? Yes, you might need to deal with some stuff right now. But the last category is this energy mine that I need to deal with later? Put that over there in that category. Put that in the waiting room. We don't have to figure out everything today, and deal with that little chunk. What do I have to deal with that's mine right now? Keep it simple, process it, sit with it, anchor it, and then move on. We're here to have joy. We're not here to suffer. Figure out what you're passionate about, what sets your soul on fire, and go after it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And it is amazing the different person you become when
Mhm.
you take these to heart, when you take these little nuggets to heart. It is absolutely life-changing. I know that, and you know that. And I think for anyone out there listening today, I have got a link to where you can find Erica and talk to her, or see if she has something that will work for you. I am amazed by your knowledge. I think it's wonderful that you joined me today, because I love that you talked about you, and you just spoke your truth. And that's another thing people need to realize, is we are allowed to speak our truth. If it comes down to other lives, we've all had them. You might not know that, but that could, your trauma can come down in many ways, and a past life is one of them. So that's
Absolutely.
really good to point out to people, I think.
I
And
think
I'm glad you were the one that did it. That makes me so excited.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And I think, like you said, it is so important to look at all of the layers. And as a mental projector, that's one of my gifts, is to be an eagle and see the big picture as I'm a revolutionary leader guiding people through to their greatest, best lives.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for being on today. Please search Erica out. She's got so much wisdom, so much knowledge. And the link is in the description of this podcast. Go find it. Go find her. Then you can find yourself. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. Yay. Thank you, Erica.
Thank you so much.